Hi guys, this is our lesson on contour drawing. Our objectives are carefully observe all the details of a subject, and then second, use line to describe the edges and contours of a subject. Our words worth knowing is contour drawing. Contour drawing is a method of drawing that is a slow and intense inspection of the details of a subject. It uses a single clean line to define edges and complexity of shapes, and it is one of my favorite types of drawing. So contour drawing is really about learning how to see and slowing down your hand and your eye and getting them to work together. So you want your eye and your hand to be moving at the same speed, because when you start learning how to draw, what usually happens is one's moving faster than the other, and then your drawing's not going to look like what you're looking at. So line is an identifiable path of a point moving in space. It can vary in width, direction, and length. It is an element of art and is the most basic part of any type of art. And you have to think about it, it's your artist's signature. Everybody makes lines in different ways. It's like your handwriting. Everyone can write the same word, but it's going to look a little bit different depending on who wrote it. So think of line as your signature. It's how people are going to recognize your artwork from someone else's. So just some examples of different types of line. So straight, curved, zigzag, spirals, wavy, line as a shape, which is a closed shape, and then line can also create value, which we'll talk about later. So you really want to work on creating a confident line versus an unconfident line. So when you're drawing, if you have all these little scratchy marks, it's because you're not really sure where you're drawing, where you're putting your line. So it kind of makes these hairy lines. You want to start trying to not do that and just make the line. So just from right to left, left to right, and just have a nice strong line. But to develop this type of a line, you really need to practice. And that's what we're going to do with this assignment. So contour drawing, it improves your hand-eye coordination, so you're practicing moving your hand and eye at the same speed, and you're developing that connection. It improves your observational skills, so it's going to force you to slow down and focus on the subject and observe the details. So this is also really important. And it also helps get you into what's known as flow state. So think about when you're playing a video game, you're playing a sport, and all of a sudden everything else kind of falls away. You're just in the zone, right? And then all of a sudden maybe an hour goes by and you barely even recognize it. So that's the kind of state you want to get to when you're drawing, and learning how to contour draw in this way will really help you get there, and it's going to improve your drawing. And then again, your line quality. So building up those confident lines, developing fluidity, confident lines that aren't really sketchy and hairy. So it's building up your skill set. So there are 3 different types of contour drawing. Our first is blind, where you carefully observe and draw the subject in front of you without looking at the paper. The second is continuous, so you're going to observe and draw your subject without lifting your pencil. You're just going to use one continuous line. So you're still going to be looking at your subject more than the paper. That's flipped right there. And then cross, you're going to use a vertical and horizontal line within the subject to convey volume and form. So we'll look at these closely. And then all of these methods require observing the subject more than the paper. So you're not staring at your paper the whole time, you're staring at your subject. So some examples of blind contour drawing. So you are not looking at the paper. So this is me looking in the mirror and drawing, so you can see how wonky it looks. And then here's some other examples of my own blind contour drawings. So you can see they look like a jumbled mess of lines. That is completely okay. You're focusing on making your hand and eye go the same speed. That's what the exercise is for. Oop, and it's starting to rain. So continuous. You can look at your paper a little bit, but you cannot lift your pen. So if you have to go back, you just draw over the lines you already made. And I love continuous contour drawing. I think they make the most interesting types of drawing. So you're looking more at your subject. You can look at the page, but you cannot lift your pen or pencil. And then cross contour drawing, you're going to draw the outline of your subject, and then you fill it in with these cross contour lines. And they could be vertical, horizontal, or both, and you're using those lines to create the illusion of form in your drawing. So some tips and tricks before you get started. You want to keep your eye on the subject. You want to imagine your pen or your pencil is touching your subject as you draw. So this is why you need to slow down. Don't let your eyes move quicker than your hand, and this just takes practice. At first, it's going to be really challenging, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get, and your skill set's going to increase. So only draw where there's an actual shift in space or a change in value, texture, and color. Don't draw what your brain thinks. If you are looking at a tree, don't draw the little popsicle tree. Draw exactly what you see. And this, again, takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. Take your time. Make meaningful lines. Don't just start scribbling because you don't know where to draw. If you get lost, just pick up where you left off and keep drawing. So don't erase, just draw over it. And then remember, a contour is a single descriptive line. And again, this takes a lot of practice, and that's why we're doing this. And you're going to be looking at the subject more than your paper. So your practice work. I'd like you to do at least 5 blind contour drawings at 3 minutes each, so you might need to set a timer to make sure you're going long enough. Some people stop way too short, and you're not going to fully get that practice in if you do that. Continuous contour, I want you to do at least 5 continuous contour drawings. Those I'd like you to do at least 5 minutes. So this is going to really require you to slow down, and really look at what you're drawing. For cross contour, just do at least 1. And then overall, I want you to do a minimum of 11 drawings, a minimum. You can always do more, and I encourage you to do more. And you can use any of the objects I have out in class or any objects that you have that you want to look at. So object of your choice. You can use drawing paper or construction paper with a Sharpie. They need to be at least 1/4 of the page in size. So don't draw these little teeny tiny drawings. You want it at least to be 1/4 of the page. And then check off with me when you're finished. I'll give you some feedback, and if you need some help, I'll give you some help. So what I'm looking at when I grade these is that you are really observing the details and you're trying to capture all the contours. It's not whether it looks super realistic. It's not whether it's completely accurate, but I can tell whether you're really observing or if you're rushing through. And if you're rushing through, I will ask you to do it again. And then you're going to need to keep all of these drawings, whether you like them or not, and we're going to use them in another artwork. All right, so if you have any questions in class, please ask, and I can't wait to see your drawings. Bye, guys.